Great to have you with us.
Thank you for having me.
I'm really looking forward to your presentation because parametric design, it's an interesting topic. So I would like to give you the stage, and we will come back to you with some questions after your presentation.
Amazing. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Let's see if I can get this going. Can you see my screen?
Yes, I can see your screen. If you can put it on presenter mode, it will be
even better. Yeah.
Even better, yeah.
There's so many things. Here we are. Now it's in presenter mode as well, and you can see it all.
More room to play.
More room to play. Perfect. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for having me. I've been to one of these before, so a couple of these before. So I really see the value of them.
Oh, cool. Thank you very much. Well, enjoy it, and I will come back to you in 20-25 minutes.
Perfect. Thank you. So hello, everybody. My name is Ove Kvalsvik. I am the CEO of a Norwegian PropTech company, and we are working, we're working with parametric design, but, as the title might say, more room to play. What we're trying to do is to kind of unleash the untapped creative potential that we believe exists in the teams that develop large residential projects. And we believe that maybe especially real estate developers and architects would benefit from changing the way they work in these big projects in order to come up with housing solutions that both meet the needs of the end customers better and would also be more sustainable in terms of how we use the land area. So just briefly go into, these are kind of the types of projects that we typically are involved with. Often they might be a bit larger than this one as well when I look at it now, but typically they are urban housing projects, so apartment projects, apartment blocks. And what we've seen in these projects the last couple of years is that the complexity of them is increasing. So firstly, they are increasing in size, so the projects are getting larger and larger. And I think the reasons for that is that sustainable urban development in Norway, and I would assume in many other countries, it is built around the idea that development should be more concentrated centrally and close to large public transports. So you basically want to build bigger, which often means higher and closer together. And there's also the concept of this 15-minute city, which says that you should be able to reach most of or all of your daily necessities within a 15-minute walk or a cycle. And obviously that means that different functions must be seen more in relation to each other. So it's becoming more complex. And add to that, new technology comes into these projects as well. Both new technology like what we are representing that is meant to improve the process, but also new technology that is integrated into the solutions themselves, like smart home technology and such. So the complexity itself is increasing substantially. And the other things we see that in order to ensure a minimum standard, a minimum quality, more and more rules and regulations are imposed into this project. So you have to be careful that all the rules and regulations are satisfied at any given time. And at the other end of this, while the complexity is increasing, you see that the demand or the end customers are demanding more and more as well. I think as consumers, we talk about in other industry as mass customization. We expect better solutions and a better relations to developers and architects that are designing what we are meant to live in. And all of this, it means that the projects, the organization, the project organization, if you want, is becoming more complex as well. So we now have more and more specialized roles involved in the project than what was the case for 10, 15 years ago. And this might be quite obvious for most of you, probably, but I wanted to just share with you a kind of a deep dive perspective, what this means for the architect and what the consequences this has. And I'm not an architect myself, but given the domain that we are operating in, I often talk with them. I talk quite a lot with them, and I also feel that the industry events, and maybe even more so PropTech events, happen without architects being present. Now, I don't know how many architects are attending these attend this event, for example, but usually PropTech events tend to have maybe 1 or 2 architects out of 100 attendants, I roughly estimate from my part. And if you look at what has happened to architects and their role in light of the increased complexity that we've just looked at, and I think firstly, since many more specialized roles are coming into the project, the architects kind of lose control and authority, don't they? Where they previously owned the vision of the project and had both a high-level overview and a detailed understanding of the project, they now have to rely on more and more specialist input throughout the development process. So their time is less spent on developing the vision, the conceptual architecture, and making choices on that. And they spend more and more time on coordinating and between different groups. And also, as the projects become larger and the focus on the minimum requirements have become much more prominent, they also have to spend more time making sure that all the laws and regulations are satisfied. So rather than being the visionary creative designer that they identify themselves with, they are becoming more, a technical engineer, a quality assurer. So often we see in projects that architects tend to kind of lose out, often because their subjective soft qualities that they would want to add to the project cannot be as easily demonstrated in value as of the more objective KPIs, such as how much gross area do you have in this project? What is the percentage of gross to net factor? How much sellable area do we have? What are the cost estimates? Are much easier to evaluate. So thus there is this underlying conflict between what was the owner of the project, which is the developer, and what at least previously was the owner of the process, which was the architect on the right. And this is kind of and getting closer to my point now, because what a consequence of this is that architects kind of looks like they are compensating in order to protect their interests. And I might step on a few toes here, but for me, I'm coming more or less from the outside of the industry. It seems like the architects know that they eventually will lose arguments down the road. So they want to work as isolated as possible in the early stages in order to make sure that their interests are not challenged too much. And this is they also work, quite linearly. So they mainly focus on the outer premises first, making choices on, building volumes, the structure, facades, even making material choices before they even consider other aspects, such as, who is the target group, who are meant to live here, how should the apartment program look like? And the ultimate consequence of this is, as we can see here, is that the efficiency of the design is often low. Like in this case, the architect had chosen a solution that results in a very low utilization rate. As long as demand for housing is higher than the supply, this is not a very good use of resources. If they have modified that tower building a little bit, they could easily have fitted 8 to 10% more square meters inside it, making room for significantly more people within the same area. And from a sustainability point of view, that's quite substantial. And this is basically what we've seen in many of the cases we have been involved with. Conceptual choices are being made without considering the utilization rate and in terms of how many livable square meters can be achieved. And then, like in this case, choices like height regulations, indentation, even placement of staircases and entrances were being made before they even began to consider the consequences these choices had on how many livable areas or livable square meters you could infuse on the project. So again, here we estimate you could easily add 6 to 7% more livable area if they just had changed the approach a little bit. And I think this is a kind of a potential that is not too often spoken about. When we talk about new technology within the real estate industry, we often talk about how we can reduce the CO2 emissions by 40%. And we believe much of this can be achieved simply by adding more livable square meters into the same areas that we are already building. So when we want to talk about parametric design, this is where Parallelo comes in. So what we have done is that we have made parametric design software that lets you easily trace up the volumes that you are building and let you easily generate the apartment programs automatically based on the input that you provided. And these could be parameters such as what types of apartments do you have, wall thicknesses, types of staircases, how many 2, 3, 4 bedroom apartments should you add, etc. So you easily just work parametrically, and the program of the software will return an area efficient apartment program with high quality apartments. And this opens up new possibilities that you could, work both with the outside premises and the inside parameters, simultaneously. And the results so far has been very good. The software has been used in around 50 projects in Norway now, and we see again and again that the utilization rate goes up. So this is a project where the architects have spent hundreds of hours beforehand to come up with a solution on the left. And we take it into Parallelo, we see that there is a room for significantly more sellable or livable area. In this case, it's 7%. And this is another example. The examples are quite alike. Outer premises make unnecessary limitation on the utilization rate. If we go in and just and use parametric design to design the apartment programs, utilization rates go significantly up, and the list goes on. And none of these two examples achieved, the 10% more, which I aim for. But remember that in both of these cases, Parallelo have operated with the exact same parameters and the exact same constraints as the solution we benchmark against. So the 6 to 7% higher utilization rates are just pure optimization. It would be much higher, it would be even more high if we could work more dynamically with the outer premises simultaneously. So this is where we believe, parametric design in this dimension comes in, is that, it's not just an optimization tool as such, but we believe we could break down the silos and work, better together, maybe especially real estate developers and architects, but also maybe real estate agency, in order to have a much more better understanding of who are the target groups that are supposed to live here, and then work more closely with the architectural concepts and the inside of the buildings to both make sure that the apartment programs fit the needs of the target groups, but that the utilization rate is maximized. So that's my 10 minutes of fame, Wouter. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Oops. Yep, here I am again.
I'm here again.
Some one button. Sorry. Yeah, that was very. I think it's very interesting, this parametric design, because of course you need the architects like you mentioned. How do you see them also implementing this stuff?
Who, the architects?
Yes.
I would say it's being completely honest. I would say maybe 70-30. That 70% love it, while 30% hate it, because it kind of challenges how architects tend to work today. So many architects prefer to work quite isolated to protect their interests, and they pretend to work with the outer conceptual things a long way before they start working with optimizing it from a sellable area perspective. So I would say we see quite a difference if you have an architect firm with quite a relatively young partner, a young architect, and maybe up and coming architect. You see quite a difference in how they.
And where do you see this also being implemented? Is this the Scandinavian countries, or is this more Europe, or how do you see this being evolved?
Right now, we've done projects in Norway, Denmark, and Iceland. So Scandinavia is quite easy, but all the Western countries basically which have quite similar Western building culture, if you like, because the parameters as a user you can define them yourself. You can define how large the 2 or 3 or 4 bedroom apartment should be. You could easily define the facades. How the width of the facade of a 2 bedroom apartment, for example. So. Might be some adjustments in terms of laws and regulations. That's quite easy to
you need to build those in, of course.
Yeah, but it's quite easy to do that. There are not so many of them. So when I say 10%, I think there's a 10%, increased potential. That's in Norway, and Norway is quite far ahead in this because the building costs have been high for so many years. We've been forced to design more rationally for many years. I think it's even higher if you go to Sweden. Denmark are quite good as well, but if you go to the States, for example, I think it's probably even more.
Cool, very interesting. Well, if we ever can help you again to give you a stage or with something else from our network, just let us know. And
thank you very much.
Yeah, we're here to help you out, and that was great having you with us today. Hopefully
thank
you will
Walter.
enjoy also other presentations, and speak to you soon.
I'll stay around if that's okay.
Yeah, that's for sure okay.
Perfect. Thank you.